backlash dealing with illnesses linked to high blood pressure. This is despite a successful salt reduction campaign that ended in 2010.
We had a really good system with the Food Standards Agency where we had a voluntary system, but they had the power to enforce other things. And the food industry responded very well to them, and the whole strategy was to slowly reduce the amount of salt in these products without making it very obvious. And as a result, salt intake was falling. We developed something we're leading the world, and then we give it up.
4 years ago, the coalition government scrapped the old policy and launched a new offensive in the battle to improve the nation's health.
Through the Public Health Responsibility Deal, the government will work with industry to help people make informed decisions about their diet and lifestyle, to improve the environment for health, and to make healthy choices easier.
The government's plan was to invite food companies to voluntarily sign up to a number of pledges to reduce things like calories and fat in their food. The salt reduction pledge was one of the first. However, Dispatch's research suggests this strategy was flawed from the beginning. We can reveal that of the 73 companies that signed up to the pledge, just 12 have met all the targets they were supposed to achieve by 2012.
That's depressing. It's depressing because these were not what I would call stretch targets. These were not hard targets to meet, and to have not met those either really shows that there hasn't been enough initiative, enough impetus, or indeed enough to lose if you fail to meet the targets.
Undeterred, the Department of Health ploughed on. In 2013, a new set of targets was proposed and sent out to the food companies for comment. Dispatches obtained these documents under the Freedom of Information Act. It's the correspondence between the Department of Health and food companies at the time of the consultation. The documents reveal industry reluctance to agree to the proposed new targets. Some cited technical reasons, as salt can be used as a preservative in some food. Others said it didn't make commercial sense, as competitors hadn't even met the old targets. But the reason for opposing the targets given by half of the companies we've seen letters from was taste. Like McCain, which did meet the first targets, but said it would be unable to sign up to the new ones because they would
affect the taste profile of our products, which would impact severely on consumer reception to our products.
McCain and 5 other companies suggested different targets. The Department of Health eventually revised their proposals against the advice of the health lobby.
We went through with the Department of Health officials all the targets, working out what we thought was reasonable, but we were then incredibly surprised that targets were watered down without any consultation with us. Where there was a change, it was all in the wrong direction. There were none that were made tougher, in spite of the fact we said many of them should be.
Our analysis shows that 17 of the salt reduction targets ended up being weaker than those originally proposed by the Department of Health.
It is shocking that industry can have this level of influence over the targets. Like anyone setting their own homework, you don't set something which is going to be very difficult to achieve, and government must set targets. They can then start to explore with industry how industry will meet those targets, but the targets should not be up for negotiation.
What's the alternative?
What government must do, and it's an absolute must, is to sit down and say, this is what we are going to achieve. If you don't do what's needed, we will regulate or legislate and make you do it.
Following the election, the government has pledged to continue with the responsibility deal as a means to encourage food companies to lower salt in their products. So is taste a barrier to lower salt levels in food, as some of the big manufacturers say it is? Would we notice if it wasn't there?
Hello, welcome to our bread palace.
Of all the food we eat, we get most salt from bread. So we asked members of the public to taste 5 loaves at random, each with a different amount of salt, from standard levels to none at all. They'll mark on a chart how much they like or dislike each one. But we're not telling them the test is about salt.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for taking part in our test.
From definitely dislike to definitely like. Just put a mark anywhere on that scale.
That's like, that's dislike.
That's right.
Okay.
Helping us is Dr. Kamal Matani from Oxford University's Centre for Evidence-Based Medicine.
I think I'll put that one on this side.
Sure.
Definitely like.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
You don't like that
like
one?
it on that one.
Okay.
I suspect it might be the same bread all along.
You're not impressed with our bread, are you?
I can't taste a lot of difference between those.
Do you like it slightly more or is it the same? Same.
Yeah, about the same.
Okay.
Tastes the same.
All tastes the same.
So you preferred bread made with normal levels of salt, but your next favourite was bread number 1, which actually had 50% less salt than bread number 2. And actually, you were very close in your scores.
I like salt, so everything I eat has a lot of salt on it. But they couldn't tell.
I am surprised, yeah. Especially with the fact that I prefer the one with the 50% less salt, because I normally love salt.
Half the people we challenged couldn't tell the difference between the high and low salt breads. This reflected the results of Dr. Matani's much wider scientific study of over 300 participants.
As health professionals, we're trying to reduce the nation's salt. One of the barriers, potential barriers anyway, was whether it might impact on taste. So we thought let's test the theory. So what we found was that the bread made with standard levels of salt scored the highest in our taste test. But the bread made with 50% less salt scored the next highest, and the margin was close enough for us to conclude there was no statistical significance between the two scores.
So essentially, people couldn't tell the difference.
Yeah, so what our results show is that we can reduce the amount of salt in bread without impacting on taste. That can have massive effects, not just at an individual level, but at a population level. What we've demonstrated here is that we can reduce salt in bread and people don't notice the difference in taste. Now, there's no reason why that science can't be applied to other food items, often high in salt content.
We wanted to speak to the Department of Health about this and other issues about the responsibility deal. In a statement to Dispatches, the Public Health Minister said,
We have worked with industry to reformulate popular products, challenging them to be creative and innovative, in order to help the public eat less salt and make healthier choices. By working in partnership with industry, the UK has reduced average daily salt intakes by 15% between 2000 and 2011. We know that reducing daily intakes by just 1 gram has the potential to prevent almost 5,000 premature deaths a year and save an annual £288 million for the health service.
we all have to keep an eye on how much salt we eat to help avoid serious health problems later in life. To do this, we need to trust the accuracy of food labels and rely on government to ensure the food industry uses the least amount of salt possible in their products. Our investigation shows we're a long way off both.